last 4 months
Professor, you're
abuse.
smart,
No.
and I've read your stuff, and I've read your writings, and I don't want to get bogged down with this, but I have little respect for your opinion because I've read your stuff. When someone is in the White House that you agree with, and someone gets a universal injunction against him, you don't like universal injunctions. You called them judges acting like they're politicians in robes and judges looking like crass political actors. But now that President Trump's in the White House, who you dislike, you think that universal injunctions taste like pumpkin pie. So I have to discount what you say because I think you act on your political beliefs. And I worry that that's what you're teaching your kids.
Today we're diving into a heated Senate hearing where Senator John Kennedy went toe-to-toe with legal scholars. And let's just say, Kennedy didn't hold back. From exposing political hypocrisy to calling out professors for their past words, this was one of those moments where Kennedy's sharp wit and relentless questioning stole the show. Stick around until the end, you'll want to see how he left his witness speechless. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button so you never miss these powerful moments from Washington.
Professor, let me ask you this while I have you. On April 22nd, 2024, you said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil. Which justices were you talking about?
I'll take it your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word, but.
All right, here's what you said. You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about?
Sir, I'm very skeptical. If it's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I do not think I said.
No, you said it. Why don't you own up to it? Which you call some of the members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical of some members of the Supreme Court.
You made that statement, aren't you?
I'm
You're an officer
Senator, it doesn't sound like something that I would say.
You know what I'm embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil in
the
classroom,
on
sir.
Your podcast, April 22nd, 2024.
Okay, well,
big as Dallas. And you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful to federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon.
No, Senator.
Let me ask you about this. What if we had a rule? I was reading an article the other day. I'm not suggesting it. I just want your opinions. That said, if a president, any president, issues an executive order, let's say, that clearly violates settled Supreme Court precedent, that a federal judge can't issue a nationwide injunction. For example, if a federal a president issued an order that said no one in America has right to counsel any longer, including but not limited to, in a felony case, having the government pay for your lawyer if you can't afford it. That clearly violates settled Gideon v. Wainwright. In that case, a judge has no authority or does have authority to issue a nationwide injunction. But in a case where the law is unclear, a judge should refrain from that. Now, obviously, we'd have to trust our judges, but we're supposed to be able to trust them anyway. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with that, Senator, because I think universal injunctions transgress the limitations under Article 3, even if the underlying merits are clear.
I happen to agree with you. I don't think there's any basis under Article 3, under Supreme Court precedent, under the English common law for nationwide injunctions. I think politicians have helped judges, and many judges are politicians, to just make it up. And many of them are like Professor Shaw here. If they like the president, they're against nationwide injunctions. If they don't like the president, they're for him.
Kennedy reminded him that when injunctions went against presidents he supported, the professor called judges politicians in robes. But when Trump was in office, suddenly injunctions tasted like pumpkin pie. Kennedy's line landed perfectly, exposing raw political bias. Kennedy then turned to solutions. He floated the idea of automatic stays and fast-tracked appeals for nationwide injunctions. Some witnesses hesitated, but Kennedy's clarity stood out. He even tested another proposal, allowing injunctions only in cases where a president's order blatantly violates settled Supreme Court precedent. While scholars debated the technicalities, Kennedy made his stance crystal clear. Nationwide injunctions have no grounding in Article 3 or common law. It was straight talk that cut through the legal jargon. At one point, Kennedy drove home what many Americans feel. Too many judges act like politicians in robes. His statement captured the frustration of both sides abusing injunctions for political gain. He didn't let anyone pretend their hands were clean. Republicans, Democrats, it didn't matter. Kennedy called it like it is, and the witnesses had no choice but to agree. Then came the knockout moment. Kennedy confronted a professor about his own words, calling certain Supreme Court justices evil. The professor squirmed, tried to backpedal, even blamed a possible transcription error. But Kennedy wasn't buying it. He demanded accountability, pointing out how outrageous it was for someone teaching America's future lawyers to throw around insults like that. His closing words, "Gag me with a spoon," hit hard, leaving the professor with nothing but embarrassment. In the end, Senator Kennedy dominated the hearing. He exposed hypocrisy, highlighted abuse of nationwide injunctions, and reminded everyone that judges aren't supposed to be politicians. And when faced with a professor's ugly past remarks, he didn't flinch. He called it out directly. If you think Senator Kennedy made the strongest case in that room, smash the like button, share this video, and make sure to hit subscribe on Capitol Insights so you don't miss the next time he holds Washington accountable.